Sometimes it seems like I'm coming undone. This walk can often feel lonely. No matter what, until this race is won, I will stand my ground where hope can be found. I will stand my ground where hope can be found. I will stand my ground where hope can be found. I will stand my ground. I will stand my ground where hope can be found. I will stand my ground where hope can be found. Oh Lord, I know you hear my cry. Your love is lifting me above all the light. No matter what I face, this I know in time. You'll take all that is wrong and make it right. You'll take all that is wrong and make it right. Make it right. Make it right.
Okay, come quickly. Come quickly. Come quickly. Everybody get up on the stage. Let's see, who's first? Anna's first.
Hi, y'all. I'm Anna. For all of y'all who do not know me, obviously I went to El Salvador with these lovely people. The past 2 years, I have gone to LA, and the cry of my heart was just, Lord, let me have a conversation with somebody where I can lead them to you, and you will just speak through me so well. And he never came through on that. And I was like, okay, God, like, do you hear me? Like, am I just talking to myself, or do you actually hear my prayers? And that's something I've struggled with throughout my whole, spiritual life. And so I'm going to read our first verse that we ever came to as a team. And it just talks about weakness and strength. And it says, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest in me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in my weakness, insults, hardships, persecutions, difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And thank you. And in both of those songs, they are some of my favorite songs that I listen to all the time. And so in both of them, it talks about, like, weakness and strength and where our strength should come from. And it was a really great trip, but it was really difficult. We went through some really hard trials, and I was like, Lord, how are you going to come through? And every time he did. And it was so incredible to see that. We almost all got sick. I mean, like, bad sick. And we were just not feeling good one day. And that happened to be the day that we didn't go to the school. And the next day, we came back stronger than ever. And that was just awesome. But a quick little short story. Back to my LA thing, I said, Lord, do you hear me? And this trip, he said, yes. He said, I totally hear you. And I said, okay, great. What are you going to do? And he's like, just be patient, Anna. Like, chill out. And so I made a really great friend, and his name was Eduardo. He was up there a couple times. He's about 10. And he was just awesome. I mean, we got really close. And the 5th day, we were passing out prizes, and one was a picture book of the testimony of Jesus. And he was reading it as we were saying goodbye. And I was like, bro, like, you can read that later. Like, say goodbye. And right as we were heading out, I gave him a hug, and we took a picture, and I wrote in Spanish, "Friends Forever," on it. And he got so teary-eyed, and then, of course, I got teary-eyed. And he pointed at me, and then pointed at himself and said, "One day," and pointed to heaven. And that totally answered my prayers that I had prayed for LA for so long. And that was the coolest thing, and that was just like a whole turning point in my whole life, because the Lord came through, and he always comes through. It might not always be the timing that we ask, but it'll be the perfect moment. So, anyways, that's my story. So here's Nancy.
Okay, so I think one lesson that this crew learned was to never pray for patience or flexibility. Don't do it. Just words of wisdom. But this trip, it was awesome, but it was also really, really hard, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about, just as a group. So we went into this trip thinking, okay, we're going to go to school, we're going to play with kids, we're going to drill the well, everything's going to go good, it'll be great, and we have this plan, we're going to dedicate the well. Well, then, usually your plan doesn't work out. And so we went to the school a couple days, and then Thursday, they said just because of safety issues and just things happening, we were being very cautious, and we had to stay at the hotel on Thursday. And it broke all of our hearts. Some of us threw things, some of us cried, and it was really hard, because you come, and our purpose was to come and love those kids and to finish the well, and then they said, well, you can't go back. And we were just like, what? Like, why are we here then? But it turned out to be a huge blessing, because Thursday, I'm pretty sure Mrs. Sosby was on her deathbed. Anna and Maggie and Katie and Sarah Jane, everyone was getting sick, and so that day was much needed. We got to rest. Those that could, we went to the beach, and we actually got to play with this girl. Maggie invited her to play with us, and we saw her later that night, and we got to give her one of our salvation bracelets and tell her about Jesus, and that would not have happened if we couldn't have gone to this school. And so that was really cool. And then along with us not being able to go back to school, the well was not working. Things were falling off the drig and the rig, sorry. And we hit a cavern, and so all the water flushed out, and there was a possibility of not even having a well, which was hard. But finally, Thursday, we got a call from the men who went back, and they said, it's done. And we're like, well, that's awesome. So the Lord came through in that, and then to make it even better, the Lord was like, yeah, and I'm going to let y'all go back Friday. And so we got to go back Friday and dedicate the well and tell the kids about Jesus. And so just kind of my encouragement is, God's plans are so much higher, and what the enemy intended for harm, God turned for good. And because it was a really hard week for all of us, and but we wouldn't trade any of those hardships for anything, because it was well worth it, and the blessing of the Lord is well worth it. So my encouragement to y'all is to always trust in God's plan, because it is way higher than anything you could think of.
Hello. So I think it was Tuesday, one of the volunteer teachers, we were trying to teach her the whip, and it didn't really work out very well. But after we were teaching her dance moves, she asked us to sing a song in Spanish. And we learned a song in Spanish that will spare you of singing because it's really not that good. But we're singing at the end, kidding. So she was like, I have a message for you from the Lord. And we were like, okay. And so our translator was translating. This lady really poured out her heart, and it was so passionate what she was saying. And she was saying that the way that we were loving those kids and the way that we were pouring everything we have, because Monday, literally from, I feel like sun up to sundown, we ran like a marathon. And she was like, just the way that y'all are loving these kids and the way that y'all are pouring out your hearts into them. And she's like, that's how the Lord loves you. And that's how the Lord loves each one of us, is just unconditionally and passionately. And it was so incredible just to hear her speak those words over us. And Ms. Sosby pointed out that throughout the week, she started loving those kids differently just by seeing how we did. And we were the first Americans to ever visit these people. And just, I don't know, getting to see how we were loving them and just really how they were loving us was just a testament to how much the Lord loves us and how good he is and how incredible he is. So just that little story blessed each and every one of us. So that was really cool.
Okay, we don't know what we're doing completely, which is kind of normal for the trip. So just, sorry, man. Sorry. So, okay, one of the things that we learned on the trip, ladies, right, is that old people can be fun, right? Easy, come on. Okay, one of the, for me, the trip was, it was a trip of reminders. And I think a lot of times in life, I don't think it really matters where you are. You kind of get used to what you're doing. And there's things that you know, but then you kind of forget. And so it was a really good, it was a good trip for reminders. And I think the first was just that God is faithful. One of our verses from the beginning when we met as a team on all the Monday team meetings was a passage in Isaiah. It's Isaiah 58:11. It says, "And the Lord will continually guide you and satisfy your desire in scorched places, and give strength to your bones, and you will be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters do not fail." Being reminded of God's faithfulness was huge, I think, for all of us. He continually guided us, like literally. So I think I would say even before the trip, we all would read that verse and go, oh, yeah, I think we know that God guides us. But on the trip, I think we realized, he was guiding us daily, not much more than daily, and sometimes not much more than 5 minutes ahead, but he was continuing to guide us. And then it says, and he satisfies your desire in scorched places. I think one of the things that everybody came to realize is El Salvador is a very scorched place. One, just from the temperature and the heat and the humidity. Other is just in everything, from the country, from the poverty, from people, from everything. Is that a beep for us? All right. Sorry, we're wrapping up. There, the girls, as they spent time with kids in the community, the reality is with the gangs and the situation, a lot of the young guys, they're going to be in these gangs, and it's going to be a bad deal and a bad life. A lot of the girls in the community, they're currently being sexually abused. A lot of their lives will end up being in sex trafficking. It's just it's a tough place. It's a scorched place, and we were reminded that even in the midst of that, and when our expectations were not met, he was faithful to continue to give us our desires and make it really good. And then just giving strength. He gave strength when I think each of us did not think we had strength left. And that idea of that we were like a watered garden, again, in the middle of a scorched place. We had energy that we shouldn't have had. And we had life to give to others in a place that they did not have. And they received it. And it was really encouraging. The last thing, just in wrapping up, as a reminder, I think we were all reminded in different ways, but that our small choices matter. I think we saw throughout the week that the little things that we did for people ended up making a big difference. I think we missed that. Even the trip as a whole, I was reminded specifically that we wouldn't have been on the trip if it weren't for small things. Years ago, the reason that we're even doing these trips is because of really Macy and Pierce bothering us as parents like crazy to do water stuff. And so then you fast forward that to this trip. For each of the people that went on the trip were impacted because of something small that happened years and years ago. The kids that were impacted on this trip, it was because of something that was small that happened years and years and years ago. All the things that happened, people that came into the kingdom because of something small. So I think as the team, we would continue to remind ourselves and encourage y'all, just your small choices matter and have a big impact for eternity. So we're excited, and we look forward to going back. That it?
Is Kate here? Kate, baby. Okay, I guess Kate isn't here. Okay, thanks. So this team was Second Helpings. Did y'all have the flash drive? And my favorite thing about doing local missions is showing students where the door is, so that from then on, anytime, they can go volunteer at some of these places. Second Helpings is a food outreach that is offered by First United Methodist Church. They are open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And our students go about 9, do everything from food prep to getting water out to wrapping up utensils. And there's always about a 20-minute break in there for us to have a chance to have either go to the rec room or take a tour of the church. And this year, Mark Cheney, the director at First Methodist, actually played the organ for us while we were standing right around it. So it was just blasting on either side of us. It was awesome. So there are always little opportunities for enrichment. The Friends of the Library is a community service that, as people donate to the library, when they have all the books they need, put it downstairs and have sales throughout the year. And so we're boxing up things that have been in sales and that we're getting rid of so that they have room for new stuff. And sometimes we're putting out new stuff. So that's what those two ministries are. And then we had the opportunity to go to Trinity Elementary on 3 of those days. So I'm going to let Gable start, and everybody can tell their favorite parts.
A lot of you don't know me, but my name is Gable. So over missions, we sort of just like went and did a lot of hard work and like boxed a lot of books and like fed a bunch of people.
Basically. On Friday, we went to Canton campus and helped some of the elementary teachers with prep for the next week. I actually helped Maggie's mom with little kids, and that was honestly my favorite part, helping the teachers.
I really liked playing with Trinity kids. It was my favorite part. Well, elementary.
At Second Helpings, we served a lot of really interesting people, but I thought it was cool that even though they didn't really have anything, they were really appreciative of all the work we did and for serving them.
The last 2 years during Missions Week, I've gone to Los Angeles, and we did a lot of work on Skid Row and Venice Beach and Hollywood Boulevard and things like that. And this year, we went to my group went to Second Helpings and dealt with a lot of the same kind of people. and we were able to feed them and to interact with them and to share the love of Christ with them. And I thought that it was really interesting to see how people in Lubbock are exactly like a lot of the people in Los Angeles, in that they don't have some of the things that we do. So if you want to go and experience something like a trip to Los Angeles, you could do it over the weekend at Second Helpings. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Same.
The thing that I want to say that always impresses me is how hard you guys work and the attitude you always have. You're a real witness and a real testimony to real Christianity. And I'm always amazed. Usually run out of work because we do more than expected. So real proud of you guys, really am. Your attitude and your hard work really glorifies the Lord and pleases Him.